be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps with the show. What is up, Planeswalkers 36, back with some more set spoiler thingamajig bobble-a-doos. This time we're starting with Core Set 2021, M21, and we're starting off with what I like to call a banger. Mangara the Diplomat. Now, Mangara was from Corandor, and he was a integral part of early Death and Taxes decks because you could use Flicker Wisp with Mangara to, well, with an Aether Vial, where you essentially, you have Mangara, and you play it, or you tap it, and you exile something, and technically you're supposed to exile Mangara as well. But you hold priority, and you respond to your own trigger, and you flicker the Mangara, and then the third thing is gone forever, and you still have Mangara, which is cool. But this one is the Diplomat. 4 mana, 2/4, legendary, human cleric, lifelink. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, whenever an opponent attacks you or a planeswalker you control with 2 or more creatures, you get to draw a card. So essentially, your opponent can only attack you with 1 creature unless they want you to draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. This is an interesting thing that white apparently is going to be able to get. Anything in white that they could tax mana on. One of the designers or developers, I don't remember exactly. I think this was Ori, maybe? I don't know. Said that white can get card draw from that, from their opponent doing it. So for example, something that I think is still in white's color pie is opponents having more lands than you. So it's possible, I assume, that we could see something along the lines of draw a card for each land. I don't know how they would word it, but like essentially you draw draw a number of cards equal to the difference in lands that you control versus an opponent you control. So I think it's super cool. I also really like the stat line of this card. It's a Pillar Field Dox, whatever. 4 mana, 2/4. It's Pillar Field Dox stats, but it has lifelink and it deters. I really like this because it deters both aggro decks from letting you draw cards that you can like use to answer their stuff, and it has lifelink, and it has 4 toughness, which means it's going to be relatively difficult for you to deal with it with a single card. And then of course it deters controlled players from casting multiple things in the same turn. So I really like this card. I don't think it'll see any real play in Standard because Standard is fucking insane. But maybe I can see putting this in Death and Taxes in Historic, possibly. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. We got Luminous Broodmoth, which is a really good 4-drop. Gosh, excuse me. Double Vision, high-end drunk, call that HD Vision. This is a 5-minute enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. A lot of people are like, this is why they banned Fires of Invention. And obviously this card isn't why they banned Fires of Invention, but one of the things that they do mention, I think that they did mention, is that Fires of Invention limits the type of things that you can print. It's very similar to Birthing Pod, in that each subsequent card, you have to say, is this busted with a Birthing Pod, right? So, you know, when you have a card like Siege Rhino, like, Birthing Pod obviously existed before then, and you print a card like Siege Rhino, it's like, wow, this card's actually really strong with Birthing Pod. Who would have thought? And then, like, you have to be like, is this other 5-drop, 4-drop, 3-drop, 2-drop, 1-drop, 6-drop even, are these bananas with Birthing Pod? And it just restricts design space because you have to keep caring, essentially. And I think Fires of Invention had to kind of fall upon its own sword for a similar reason. Where, like, if you were able to Fires into Double Vision and then the following turn, just play, like, one relatively high-costed instant sorcery, cough, an ultimatum, perhaps? And you get double copies of it? That's a yikes! Obviously, many of the ultimatums don't actually, like... I think only 3 of them that are in Standard right now actually work with it. Genesis, Inspired, and, what the hell is the name of that one? Gosh dang it. Genesis Inspired. What the I don't remember. The Emergent. There we go. Those, like, technically you can get extra out of the Eerie Ultimatum, but the Violent Ultimatum, nope. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Also, the flavor text is crisp. Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. I am. I sit alone in my 4-cornered room staring at candles. Spark Hunter Manticore is a 3-mana, 3/4 artifact creature. Stats alone, this is a good card. It is a 3 mana, 3/4 artifact creature. That boy good. For what it's worth, you as additional cost to cast the spell, you have to discard a card. Okay, fair, fine. I still think that boy good because it has protection from planeswalkers. Period. Protection from planeswalkers. Pay 1 generic Spark Hunter Masticore. Did I say Manticore? Whatever, it's a Masticore. Deals 1 damage to target planeswalker. You just get to ping things for the amount of mana you have. Nice. 3 mana, Spark Hunter Masticore gains indestructible until end of turn. So you know that board wipe that you're planning on using to save your planeswalkers? This card's dope. If planeswalkers are a huge irritant, this card goes in. I could see myself using this in some form of Death and Taxes. The main issue, I'm talking Arena right now. The main issue is the discard. Death and Taxes has issues with being able to, maintain some semblance of card advantage, but this card is just generally strong. Like, the thing is, even against aggro decks, this card might just be fine, being able to come down relatively early, and just be a huge body against like low to the ground aggressive decks can mean a lot. Being able to discard your even just like your 4 mana card in order to play this, or discard that 5th land or whatever that you aren't going to be able to potentially use, is, I think, really great as a nice beater against aggro. We're seeing some reprints. Reprint of Baneslayer Angel. Now, this card hasn't been printed all that much. It's been printed more than this, but it hasn't been printed all that much. And we see that its cost was still relatively high, considering it doesn't see a ton of play. I don't think, like, anywhere except for EDH at this point. I'm not sure. But regardless, it's just a 5 mana 5/5 that is flying first strike, lifelink, protection from demons and dragons. Now, Lyra, at one point in time, was played in sideboards because she had lifelink and she was an angel. I don't know if Standard has moved beyond a 5 mana 5/5 flying first strike, lifelink, and Pro 2 relevant creature types. Do I like that they're printing this card? Yes, because it's even more for Angel Tribal. You use probably Aurelia, and you have some angels, and a lot of them have lifelink stuff. You have tokens that you can play early on that work really nicely with Divine Visitation. It's cool stuff. Angel Tribal in Brawl is becoming even better with Baneslayer Angel. In Historic, she's cool. I would likely play her somewhere just because I really like the card. That said, in Standard, I don't actually know, and the main reason for that is because Standard is not so right now. And you know what? I did have this question on a video, I think, and essentially it was like, why would I say a card is better in Historic because of Standard's power level when Historic has all of Standard cards and then some? And the main reason is card availability, right? Historic has more cards, yes. And because of that, the power level of Historic is technically under more control. It might even be more powerful than Standard, but it's under control in different ways because Standard doesn't have the same tools to stop those really monstrous decks that Historic does. So that's one of the main reasons that I say, this card might see play in Historic, where it will almost certainly not see play in Standard. So, boop. Peer into the Abyss. Yikes. 7 mana, sorcery, target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in the library and loses half their life rounded up each time. I love that you can force your opponent to draw a lot of cards. I don't know exactly what you're going to do with it. Oh god, I'm just now realizing this is more mouth. And this is more mouth. It's just never-ending mouth. Oh, there's eyes peeking out. Oh god. Oh, the more I look at it, just the worse this gets. This dude. All right. Yeah. No. It's cool. It's also like it's something stupid with Omniscience, which would be funny to see if someone can pull this off. Omniscience into Peer into the Abyss. Peer into Omniscience. I don't know. Oh. Liliana, Waker of the Dead. First things first. Anna or Anna, I don't know. This art is so great. the somber tone where Liliana is very obviously like distraught from what happened during War of the Spark. Fantastic. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tone is great. Everything's great. 4 mana, 4 Loyalty Planeswalker. +1, each player discards a card. Each opponent who can't loses 3. So this is actually a really interesting curve with Davriel. You Davriel, force them to discard, into Liliana, force them to discard. That's pretty cool. Obviously, you'll have to discard as well, but you're going to be making your deck around this. You should be able to deal with that better than your opponent can. Additionally, you wouldn't lose life if you can't discard. So at some point, you and your opponent both might be hellbent, and then you just get to not take damage while they take 3. It's pretty cool. -3, target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. It's not the best, but it is pseudo-protection. If your opponent only has one creature that is small enough to be destroyed based upon the cards in your graveyard, then it's very nice being able to just say, nah, go away, I'll start upticking next turn. -7, a bit steep for my blood, considering the rest of this card, but you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield, under your control. It gains haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you just get a dude with 3 O's, and it gains haste. I absolutely love it. This card is almost certainly not going to see any non-meme play, I think, in arena context. She, unfortunately, I think the biggest mark against her is the -3, potentially just not doing a lot. You know, obviously, if you're playing like Stitcher Supplier, maybe you can be playing some sort of like Stitcher Supplier and the Merfolk one, the 2 mana 2/1 with Death Touch. Okay, maybe you can get this work. I could see this being in some sort of skewed mono black deck. This is not like your typical mono black, but I could potentially see this in some sort of like self-mill mono black. Yeah, I don't think you could justify playing blue in it. Maybe you might need the blue in order to draw cards as well. Then you also have some decent jumpstart cards. Okay. I'm kind of saying that maybe you have some Surveil in there as well. Things like Thought Erasure. All right, you know what? I've turned around. I think you can see some tier 4 play with this card. I do have to show off this version by French illustrator. I want to say it's Magali, but I'm not sure. Just fantastic. This art is so good. Teferi, Master of Time. It's another one. 4 mana for 3 loyalty. Oh, that's fine. You may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time, on any player's turn at any time you could cast an instant. So in the rules, you can use a loyalty ability once per turn. So what I can do is on turn 4, I can play this. I can +1 to draw a card, then discard a card. Teferi will then be at 4 loyalty. Then, on my opponent's turn, let's say during their upkeep, I can force one of their creatures to phase out. Treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until its control's next turn. So, their biggest threat, gone. Then back to my turn, I plus on their turn, let's say I plus. I'm back to 3 now. But I've had time to draw 3 cards. 4 or 5 cards in that time. -10. Take 2 extra turns after this one. You don't know what's real messed up? Turn 3 Teferi. Turn 3 Teferi. Bounce your creature. I'll draw a card. Turn 4. This Teferi. Plus my first Teferi. Plus this Teferi. I'll draw a card, discard a card. On their turn, that creature that I just bounced that you replayed, bounce it again! And then you keep doing shit. I feel like this card is gonna be real annoying. I feel like white-blue control is gonna be fucked. In the worst of ways. Now you might notice over here, all these say core set something. We're gonna go to view all prints. These are all subtly different. You'll notice like this piece of glass isn't there. Or there. Oh, wow. I can't tell exactly how things are different. All I know is that there are a bunch of the same card. I don't know why, but whatever. Sure. And then this is the full like extended art version, which is cool. I like this. Teferi. It's Teferi. Speaking of Teferi, Teferi's Protege. 3 mana, 2/3, human wizard, pay 2, tap, loot. You get to loot. It's a common. Goodbye. Teferi's Tutelage. 3 mana, enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. They finally did it. Those madmen did it. Mill is officially an action. Officially, it's like it's a named mechanic. I am so happy. It's cool. The thing is, like, there are many different variations of, like, mill. There's essentially mill until you hit X number of lands. The thing is, you can just say mill until you hit 5 lands, and that should still work. You put the top X cards of your library into your graveyard until you've put this number of lands into your graveyard. Like, that should still work. Sometimes you exile, and I don't think that would work unless you say, like, mill X cards. If those cards would be put into the graveyard this turn, put them into exile instead or something like it would be more wordy to use mill in that situation, but still, I really appreciate that they finally were like, okay, mill. Because mill is, yes, connected directly to millstone. Like, it doesn't inherently mean anything other than, like, the milling that it was. But mill is now permeated not just Magic, but TCG culture in general, right? Mill is used, colloquially at least, in other card games. People say, I self-mill in, I guess, Runeterra, like, in deep decks, people will say, I mill myself for 2, or 3, or whatever the hell the cards do. So I respect the move. Teferi's Ageless Insight is a 4 mana legendary enchantment. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Okay, essentially this just means ignoring your draw step. Each time you would draw 1 card, draw 2. Look. Stop it. I don't know if this is going to be stupid in Standard. It might be stupid in Historic. But if you think about cards just like even just like Opt and shit, like these just become better. But the thing is, it's a 4-mana enchantment that does nothing, which is the reason why it's relatively weak. Rin and Seri Inseparable. 1 red, green, white. 4/4. Dog, cat. Legendary creature. Whenever you cast a dog spell, create a 1/1 green cat creature token. Whenever you cast a cat spell, create a 1/1 white dog creature token. For Naya and tap, Rin and Seri deal damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control. You gain life equal to the number of cats you control. Dogs have officially replaced hounds. All hounds will be errated to dogs. My thing is this needs to go for foxes and jackals. I'm okay with wolves remaining wolves. They technically have enough like individual support. That's fine. But Felidae, the genetic classification, is covered in cats. We go from lions, panthers, freaking jaguars, which panther technically isn't, whatever, to house cats and like lynxes, all of those, cat. Dog is split up for some reason, but if we look at the mirror from Felidae, because they are both carnivora classes, whatever, I don't remember, they're phylum in there, whatever, taxonomic categories. If we look at the reverse of that, Canidae, we don't have that. We have foxes and like wolves. Or we have like technically the foxes and the rest of like the dogs, including wolves, are next to each other, but they are in Canidae, right? They're just not in Canaanae, or no, they are in Canaanae. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because Felidae gets all of the cats. Even if it's just as a subtype, that's fine. Make it so that jackals are now jackal dogs. Make it so that now foxes are fox dogs. The creatures should benefit from the same race privilege. That sounds awful, but I don't care. As cats do. It's bullshit. I hate it. I'm going to continue to beat this down wizards' throats until they make this change, unless they already are going to, whatever. But Cane today, unification. Oh, as for the card, it's really cool. I'm gonna make a Brawl deck. I'm absolutely certain. Containment Priest, being like technically printed for the first time, so now it'll be legal in Modern, which is interesting. But here's the thing: it's legal in Standard and Historic. That's pretty cool. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile instead. Has Flash. This is going to go into Death and Taxes. Is it going to go in the main deck or sideboard? I don't know. Arena cards. Need a preface talking about Arena. This stops Winota, Garuda, any sort of reanimation deck. Blink decks, for what it's worth. Things like that can go F themselves. This fights, I will say, this does hurt Broodmoth, Luminous Broodmoth. I'll figure it out. I gotta work with the cards. Gotta see how they play. A couple people don't like the art of this card. I think it's cool. I do really like this Containment Priest. But I do like this one too. Jesper did, in my opinion, a fantastic job. Jesper is really quickly becoming one of my favorite Magic artists. I'm just gonna click here real quick. I really just like the feel, if that makes sense, of his art. It feels good, like physically. Uh-oh. Ugin the Spirit Dragon, seeing this, the OG one, $50. I mean, obviously that one's a lot because it's done by Chris Ron, right? Yeah, Chris Ryan. When I saw this, I thought it was Chris Ryan at first, but I was like, oh no, it's Ryan. Ryan did a great job. Ugin the Spirit Dragon is a very strong card. It sees play in Modern. I don't think it sees play in Legacy. With the sheer amount of ramp in Standard right now, I would not be surprised if we saw a domination by Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. It is pretty dope. I'm going to make decks with this card. It's fucking awesome. Deals. It's 8 mana, 7 Loyalty Walker. 8 mana in these times, not that much. +2 deals 3 damage to any target. Hit a face, hit a planeswalker, hit a creature. Just +2, 3 damage. -X, exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, that's 1 or more colors. If you're playing a colorless ramp deck, which in Historic you technically can, you can just exile everything your opponent controls. Every non-land your opponent controls. Well, I guess lands are colorless, so whatever. But yeah, you can exile their stuff. And it's great. Not destroy, it's exile. Bye. It's awesome. -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. This is meant to mirror 7 mana Nicol Bolas, I think? I don't know. Nicol Bolas is target opponent like loses 7, they discard 7 cards, and look, I don't actually remember the rest. But still. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. Ugin being reprinted. No one else is being reprinted talking about ramp. Azusa Lost but Seeking. You notice something over here. This is a relatively expensive card. Like these last 2 cards, the cheapest this one is, right, is $50. This is not going to be nearly as expensive. The cheapest this one is $21. Oh, excuse me, that's the oversized version. The cheapest actual version this is $33. Sure. This is going to cost a little bit less, which is very nice. I don't play it, but I know some people do. We already have an effect like this with Wayward Swordtooth in Historic, I believe. 1, this can be your commander in Brawl, so that's horrifying. Mono green Azusa Ramp would be pretty dope, not gonna lie. But 2, it's just extra effects. It's extra of those effects if you're just playing a deck that wants to play a lot of lands. Cough, cough, get Rug Monster. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty damn cool. But yeah, you just play 2 additional lands. Oh, right. Wayward Sorceress is just 1 additional land, isn't it? This is 2 additional lands. Fuck. It's the end of the world as we know it. That card's good. Veto, Thorn of Duskrose. I thought you were 1/4 when I first saw you. 3 mana, Vampire Cleric, 1/3, legendary creature. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. This is, Exquisite Bonds? Or is this Sanguine Blood? Whenever an opponent loses life. No, so it's Sanguine Bond. Yeah, so this is Sanguine Bond, essentially, which is an infinite combo with the card I just showed, which is pretty cool. Whenever you gain some life, you're also dealing damage to your opponent. So this would be very interesting in a black-white life gain deck, where now you don't have to just rely on Johnny Pridemate. You can now just use that incremental life gain to deal damage. I actually think this card's super interesting in historic black-white a lot more, just because you have access to things like Sarah Ascendant, so you're constantly going to be draining your opponent. But what's really dope is that you have 5 mana, which is a lot, but still, it's essentially free real estate. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. So now you can smork and then die. Your opponent just dies, even if they have blockers. It's great. Grim Tutor is a... That's not all the cards, is it? No way. Really? Okay. This card has never been reprinted. Wizards. Making it real good with these reprints. This was printed in fucking Starter 1999, and it cost $200. And now we're getting a core set reprint, even though this is Mythic. Like, this is a core set reprint, dude. And this is a promo version. Igor's, I really like Igor's. Igor did Elish Norn among many other great arts, and I really like Igor's work. Anyway, 3 mana. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library, you lose 3 life. Now you might be saying, that's 3 life, that's a lot. It's 1 less mana than Mastermind's Acquisition. And that 1 mana can mean a lot. Right? You can go grab a 4-drop board wipe. Obviously you're going to lose 3 life, but how much more life would you lose if you didn't have it, right? So I really like... I like this card for what it could potentially do in historic and maybe standard, but I doubt it. But the reprint status, Quirion Dryad, a bit of a weird reprint. We don't need it for the price, but I also just kind of don't like this card because of what it might do to 5-color decks. I mean, this helps Niv Mizzet Brawl, which didn't need help at all. Whenever you cast a spell that's white, blue, black, or red, put a 1/1 counter on Quirion Dryad. Cool. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Ruined Halo, another card getting reprinted, although, once again, this card doesn't really need it, but it's a white enchantment. As Ruined Halo enters the battlefield, choose a card name. You have protection from the chosen name. You can't be targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything with that name. I don't know how strong this is going to be. And the main reason I don't know is because I can't really think of too many decks where you just kind of lose to one thing. I'm going to try this out in Historic Death and Taxes, if nothing else, like in the sideboard, because in some situations it's going to help you against specific combos. For example, you know, play this named Zenith Flare against meme decks. Cool. But generally speaking, I don't know if this is good enough. Tormod's Crypt, another card seen in reprint. It's not needed, but it is a free way to just exile all cards from target player's graveyard. You get to keep your own, and you can just play this on the board and just be like, all right, whenever you want to do something. And what's important to note is not only is it free to cast, it's free to activate. Some of the other artifacts that we have right now do have cost requirements. Whether or not this is going to be better than just running like Grafter's Cage, who knows? I just wanted to show off this island. I believe from the article, each of the non-Ugin walkers, I think, is going to have their own like land that kind of looks like this, but stylized more for them. So the Teferi one, I think we're going to get one for Basri, who you haven't seen yet, but I'll show you obviously in a bit. I think Garrick, Sharon, and Liliana. So we have Basri, Tefers, Liliana, Sharon, Garrick. So that, I mean, that's cool, I suppose. Fierce Empath to see in a reprint. 3 mana, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may search the library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater. Reveal that input into your hand. It's very interesting. It's an elf card, so this is kind of another way you can potentially grab Death Pig. I don't know if you're going to want to run this since you have Finale, though. It's definitely an interesting card. I'm sure there are situations that I'm not thinking of that make it better. I guess for elf brawl decks, that'd be pretty good. Being able to just get one of your big dudes when you have a bunch of mana but you have nothing to do with it. Yeah, I think, okay, that's fair. Dementor's Prey, hilarious. I think this card's called Wither. Destroy target creature or planeswalker with CMC 3 or less. Man, it's cool that this hits Teferi, but it's unfortunate that it can't actually hit Teferi, because Teferi says I can't play this at instant speed, so I have to wait until my turn to play it at sorcery speed, because this card. What I want to see here, by the way, this is cruel, no, necessary. This is Kevrick the Merciless? I don't know. It's cool. I don't think this card is very good. I could be super wrong. I don't think it's very good. Indulging Patrician, another one of those really interesting additions to the Black-White life gain decks. 3 mana, 1/4, with lifelink and flying, so it does a decent job blocking. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, each opponent loses 3 life. So when you combine that with the other 3-drop, right, you have some serious ways to just drain your opponent, and no longer do you need to, like, actually go to combat, right? You essentially can just have a situation where you have just general ways of gaining life each turn that I can't think of right now because I'm scum, but still, that you just like drain your opponent every turn, and it's pretty cool. Oh, what is that card? What is the not Soren's Thirst, the one that deals 3 damage to a player and you gain 3 life. Ooh baby. Oh, okay, that's gonna be hype. That's gonna be pretty cool. That's gonna be pretty fucking cool. Basri, Devoted Paladin. This dude is from Amonkhet, I believe. Oh, right, I should say these are all Planeswalker deck cards. I'm gonna kind of not talk about them very much unless they look like they're gonna see play. But I did want to talk about Basri a little bit. Dude is a sandbender, and I love it. One thing I don't love is that that's not reflected in his abilities. Why? He's a sandbender who seems defensive. Why is he the normal, like, +1/+1 counter on creatures you control? It really bothers me that this is all white keeps getting. I mean, technically it's not. Like, but still, though. Stop it. Give me something else. Is Adherent of Hope. This is a card that I think could potentially see play. 2 mana, 2/1 at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control a Basri Planeswalker, put a 1/1 counter on it. There's a 3 mana Basri, which is why I think this card actually might see play. Like, this is a Planeswalker deck card, I'm pretty sure. And I think this could see play in some sort of mono-white aggressive deck that uses 3 or 4 Basris. Basri's Aegis. Man, look, it's sandbending. Wow. I don't really get the art on this, though, because Basri almost certainly is from an Amonkhet. If he's not, I'll be very surprised. But it says, as long as we survive, we can rebuild. Which makes sense in terms of Amonkhet. These people do not look like they're from Amonkhet. This sword doesn't make sense. This bow style, not what I recall. And why would they be fighting other humans, I presume? Because these are like arrows. It just doesn't make sense to me. This card, though, I don't see him play. Sigiled Contender, 4 mana, 3/3. It has lifelink as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it. It's not very good. Teferi Timeless Voyager, meh. Shitty and Grant Teferi. I don't think Historian of Zalfir was good. No. Wavecaster does seem... No, not Wavecaster. My bad, there's a different thing that costs like the same amount. Wavecaster? No. Mystic Skyfish is hilarious. So, it's a 3 mana 3/1. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, it gains flying until end of turn. This could see play, maybe, potentially. Was this the common? It was the common. I wonder if all the common ones are what I'm talking about. This maybe sees play because of the fact that, like, there's already, like, draw 2 style things. And an evasive 3-power creature is nice. I just don't know. I guess the issue is Brazen Borrower. Never mind, this card's not going to see play. Liliana Deathmage, not looking great here, in my opinion. The rest of the art, fantastic. Her face, like, that expression, I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. Liliana Scorn looks fucked. Yeah, I mean, it looks messed up. Liliana Scrounger, I think might be reasonable in a, like, Liliana focused Brawl deck, but that's like it. Because we have a decent amount of Lilianas, and once we get Amonkhet back, we'll have more Lilianas, so maybe we'll see it there. But 3 mana 3/2, not terrible. The main issue with it is that it's a human. But when at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you may put a loyalty counter on a Liliana Planeswalker you control. You know, that's not too bad, getting your Lilianas to ultimate faster. This card is bad. Spirit of Malevolence can go fuck itself. Chandra Flame Catalyst is cool art, I suppose. Yeah. Chandra's Firemaw is great art. Stormcaller. 3 mana, 3/2, Ogre Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is very similar to Young Pyromancer, except this isn't a wizard, and the fact that this isn't a wizard might be why it doesn't see play in a deck like that. But theoretically, being able to curve Pyromancer into Stormcaller seems good. But I don't think this card's gonna see play. Garrick is freed of his curse, which doesn't make any fucking sense. I hate Garrick. I need to read the story of. Do we have a story for Eldraine? I need to read whatever information we have on Eldraine, because I want to know, like, if Garrick's still an asshole. Okay, it's Warsteed. He's riding a Rhino, which doesn't make any sense. He's like a beast guy, so sure. Predatory Worm. Once again, doesn't make a ton of sense to me, because Garrick has always been a beast guy, but sure. Wildwood Patrol is Garbo. 3 mana 4/2. 4/2's not good. Not good. Chromatic Ori is a 7 mana legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Tap, add 5 colorless, which you can spend as though it were mana of any color. 5 mana, tap it, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Miss it. Gosh. Don't know what's acting up. Yeah, this card seems real strong in a Niv Mizzet Reborn deck. Also, it seems strong, as was pointed out by Noxious, because when you pair this with Titan's Nest, so what you do is, you play this card, then you tap it for Titan's Nest. You have 1 mana left over. Cool. And then, the colorless mana that you get from Titan's Nest can now be used as colored mana. So you get to, like, actually full-on delve shit, but for real, and you can play things for free if you have enough cards in your graveyard. Ooh-wee. Seems real strong. This card, Flavor Text, is interesting. Visitors marvel at its design, unaware of the other world that inspired it. This, to me, looks like it's meant to be Mirrodin, plus Mirrodin's 5 suns, sorry. So I'd be very interested to know if this is meant to be a Mirrodin thing, and if so, where is this, and how do they know about Mirrodin? Gadrak, the Crown Scourge. My man likes his jewels. Oh god, oh, I did not realize those were all bodies. Awkward. This is Smaug. 3 mana 5/4 Flying Dragon. 3 mana 5/4 Flying Dragon. Gadrick can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. Reasonable. I think that's probably pretty reasonable. At the beginning of your end step, if create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. That says each. You don't have to have Gadrick out and see the creatures die to get this effect. He has to be out by the end of your turn. But let's hypothetically speaking, you play something, I don't know, once, let's say something that deals 4 damage to each creature in each planeswalker. Sure. Let's say you, I don't know, Storm's Wrath, and then you play Gadrick. At the end of your turn, you get some number of treasures, and next turn you attack with a 5/4. It's cool. I don't think it's very strong. I do think it's cool, but I don't think it's very strong. For what it's worth, it can still block. So if nothing else, it's a 3 mana 5/4 blocker. But we have I guess we don't really have a 2 mana 5/4 blocker. No, okay, this might see play as a red defensive card. Pack Leader. 2 mana 2/2 other dogs you control get +1/+1. Dog Lord. Oh, I'm so happy. Whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control. All dogs, not other dogs, him included. Your dogs, your puppers will not take damage when they go in and do your bidding, attacking your opponent. I love this so much. That Flavor Text is also great. I'm going to be making a dog deck. Believe you me, I will be making a dog deck. It's going to have Pack Leader. It might not have the other one because we have a few hounds in black. We might have a Kunoros. It's gonna be Lit Fam. Play Him Devil. 5 mana, 5/5. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, Play Him Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So it's like Mayhem Devil, but worse because this costs 5 mana. I mean, Mayhem Devil, for what it's worth, is a 3 mana 3/3. And this is a 5 mana 5/5. But once you get to that mana, the ability is not nearly as good. It's still fine, don't get me wrong. It's just not Mayhem Devil. Primal Might. X and green sorcery. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, then fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. It's cool. What's really nice is that you don't actually have to like pay anything for X here. You can literally just play green, and it's essentially just a fight card. But it comes with the added ability of making your dude bigger. It's interesting removal, we'll say. It's interesting scalable removal that requires you to have creature, which makes sense. Shipwreck Dowser, this is the one that thinking about earlier. 5 mana 3/3 with prowess. Cool. Sure. Merfolk Wizard. Cool. When it enters the battlefield, return, an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It rebuys things. It's interesting. It's 5 mana. Maybe it's used play in some like non-aggro wizard decks in Historic. Not holding my breath. It is cool though. Reign of Revelation is a reprint. It's an instant. You draw 3 cards, then you discard a card. This was Modern Horizons, but it's coming to Standard and Historic. So if we make the comparison, right, between this and Chemist's Insight. Chemist's Insight draws 2 cards twice. So it sees 4 cards. This only sees 3 cards. Chemist's Insight also requires you to discard a card. But Chemist's Insight sees those 4 cards over the course of 2 turns. This gives you those 3 cards immediately. So you have to essentially ask yourself, do I need to be able to look at 3 cards right now? Or am I just looking to get more cards over time? Both of them require you to discard a card, so that I didn't include that. So like technically this only nets you 2 cards, and Chemist's Insight nets you, I think, still 3 cards. Yeah, I think, because it's you just draw 2, and then you discard 1, and you draw 2. Yeah, 3. So, you know, Insight does give you more cards over time, but Reign gives you more immediately. So you have to kind of decide. Jessica Elder, 2 mana 1/2 prowess. This is a reprint. Cool. It's a monk, not a wizard. I doubt this is going to see play, but I could be wrong. It does draw cards. Whoop-de-doo. It's a 1/2. I don't care. Anyway, my throat is killing me because I recorded this. I recorded the normal video for today, and I recorded episode 2 of Stone Shard, and it is monstrous. The issue is I don't know exactly when that video is supposed to come out because this is going to be the bonus video for today. So, anyway, that's all them cards. I'd like to thank my lovely patrons if you'd like to join them and support the show. You'll find links to that down in the description. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add subscription to your mana pool, has a comment section down below, and pass the turn in the vids to some of your friends. And of course, until next time, all will be one.